Hi, I'm Mark Anderson, a mortgage banker with Paramount Bank. I'm licensed to lend in all 50 states, and I would really love the opportunity to earn your business. We can start with a very simple, no obligation consultation to go over your purchase mortgage options. The place that I start is from a standpoint of the monthly payment that you feel comfortable with. So it is oftentimes the case that I can approve people for far more than they're actually interested in spending. So we're going to start with a monthly payment figure that you feel is comfortable. We're going to talk about your down payment, and then I'm going to take those numbers together and tell you what price range you should be looking at to make sure that you're not going to be taking on more house payment than is going to be comfortable for you. So that's our starting place. Now, the tool that I turn around and provide you after we accomplish that pre-approval step is a custom loan proposal calculator. The reason that this is important, one of the most common mortgage search terms is mortgage calculator. And I have done that search myself. I've looked at various options that are out there, and there's almost always a problem. There's a variable that is missing. Maybe the calculator doesn't factor in private mortgage insurance. Very few of them do. Those that do factor it in almost certainly have the wrong number for it. Maybe it leaves out your taxes, your homeowner's insurance, or maybe the assumptions that are built in for those numbers are wildly inaccurate. The value of this spreadsheet tool is that it's customized to your scenario. So what I wanted to walk through is how this form works, and I'll highlight a couple key areas that I'll actually customize to go along with your overall loan proposal and your pre-approval. So what we've got here, and ultimately I do plan on hiring a graphic designer to make this prettier, but the main value that it provides is accurate information that's tailored to you and your specific scenario. So you can see here I've got a sales price listed at $310,000. This is based on a 10% down payment. So one of the things to keep in mind with that is anytime you're putting less than 20% down, you've got to tangle with private mortgage insurance in one way or the other. So if you track down here, we've got monthly PMI, and I have come up with the number that's driving that calculation based on a credit report and based on an analysis of your specific file. Because the amount that you pay for private mortgage insurance, it's not something you just pull off the shelf that's the same for everybody. It's actually tailored to your credit score, your overall debt to income ratio, etc. So I make sure to look up the number that actually applies to your scenario and put that in there. Now PMI, you'll see, is either a monthly fee or, as I highlight over here, there is something called a single premium option, and I'll make sure to calculate that as well. It's an option that allows you to pay a one-time fee at closing to cancel out any PMI obligation over the life of the loan. So here's where this form is very, very useful. You can, when you're looking at a property that you're seriously interested in, you can run a calculation so you know in advance what the payment is going to be. And also from a negotiating standpoint, this can be very powerful. So let's say you were looking at a property that was listed at $310,000 here. You've entered everything in. Let's say you looked up the property taxes, which this is a variable that's different on every property. It certainly behooves you to actually look up the exact tax figure associated with the property. If you're looking on Zillow, you can find it on the Zillow listing. If you've got the listing information from a real estate agent, you might have to hunt a little bit, but you can find the amount of taxes that were paid last year. You can divide that number by 12 and throw that in here. Let's say in this case, instead of $400 a month, let's say that we calculated out at $427. So we update that figure to make sure that we're looking at an accurate number here. Now, estimated monthly homeowner's insurance. This is a little bit of a tricky one because you can't really shop for a homeowner's policy until you actually have a property that's under contract, because the insurance policy itself is tailored to that property. So what I typically will do is throw in an estimate that's designed to be maybe a little bit on the high side. So let's go ahead and change that to $150 a month for homeowner's insurance. So we can see in this case for Mr. Sam's sample here that this 310 sales price at a rate of 2.875, which by the way is not a quote. I'm using that as a representational figure. This is not a mortgage quote. I have to say that for compliance purposes. And it is true, I just picked this number out of thin air. It's not meant to be a quote. But the principal and interest payment comes out to $1,158. We've got property taxes in at $427, homeowner's insurance $150, and monthly private mortgage insurance at $74, leading to a total payment of $1,809. So if you are shopping for a house right now, one of the things you're going to notice is that the good quality properties, they hit the market and then they get attacked with multiple offers. And it's a tough position to be in because you may fall in love with that house during your walkthrough and realize all of a sudden you've got to compete with 9 or 15 or 40 other people to buy it. So one of the things that's very useful about this tool is that you can see from a negotiating standpoint how the price that you're negotiating actually impacts your payment. Many times people are surprised to see how little the payment needle actually moves when you push the purchase price up. So let's do an example here. Let's say the property is listed at $310,000. There's multiple offers coming in. Sam Sample wants to see, I really want this house. I've been looking for a while. Let's see what would happen if we offer $330,000. The payment was $1,809 before. Let's see what happens at $330,000. Bumps up the payment to $1,888. Now, I don't know about you, but for a lot of people, that increase seems small, relatively speaking, versus what you may otherwise expect. So that's the power of this tool. It's to give you the information that can put you in a position to make the confident decisions that you need to make at the offer stage, particularly in a really competitive market like the one that we're in right now. Now, the other thing that I do on this form is I make sure to walk through very transparently what all the closing costs are. Now, there's some things that I leave out in terms of optional fees in this section. I don't list anything for your home inspections. That's something that's at your discretion. You can get whatever home inspections you want, and typically those inspections are paid outside of the closing process. So I don't list home inspection fees because they're optional and they're highly variable, and I also don't list any kind of boundary survey. Now, in your area, a boundary survey may be required. One of the things that I'll do in my review is I will determine whether or not that is required, and if it is, it'll be here in the list of closing costs that you can expect. Now, again, the numbers here are just being used for representational purposes. Please don't construe this as a quote. Again, yours is going to be tailored to you and your specific scenario. But you can see how all the different closing costs stack up so that you can plan for it. Again, the idea here is to arm you with the knowledge that you need to make confident decisions as it relates to your mortgage purchase process. Now, one other thing that I'll point out, this calculates out the projected balance that's going to be due at the closing table. Now, in your negotiations, I think this is actually very smart, you can negotiate for your seller to cover some or all of your closing costs. So you can plug that in here to see, obviously that's simple math, but you can see how that's going to impact your bottom line if you're able to negotiate that $5,000 seller credit. So just wanted to shoot a brief video to cover this subject. From my conversations with clients, this is a tool that, although I think it's personally a little bit unsophisticated in terms of the way that it looks, I'd like to make it look a little snazzier. The information is something that most lenders simply don't arm their clients with, which I think is a shame because, again, you've got to be in a position where you can make confident decisions, and the only way you can have that confidence is to have access to the numbers and to know how your negotiating is going to impact your overall price. So thanks very much for watching. If you'd like a purchase consultation, it's a no obligation, no high pressure sales pitch type deal. It doesn't cost you anything, but please do call me or text me at the number below anytime. We'd love to talk to you. Thank you very much.